We actually have some Raidraptor action, magical musketeers, it also appears evil twins, but the real interesting thing is this Buster Blader deck. Make sure you guys smash the crap button, that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Skynets. We're going to be leading off with some Raidraptor action for you here. Now, we've not seen a lot of Raidraptors out here, but it appears that the last week or so in the OCG, a few more Raidraptor decks have been kind of coming around out here and actually making a nice chance in the modern era meta. Now, obviously, being able to set up the big boss monster, those form of interruptions, all that kind of little craziness that Raidraptors are kind of a little bit extra known for, I think is actually a really, really solid thing. Also, how many unaffected boss monsters can you just throw at your opponent, especially in like a tournament setting out here, where the meta is more of a localized environment out here, and you're actually, people aren't going to have destructed rumens. They're not going to be more geared towards a little bit more of the insanity that comes with these matchups to try to, end the game. So I can see why a deck like this would be very, very successful in that sort of meta. Next up here, Magical Musketeer Fiendsmith. Now this feels pretty much like the crazy Hail Mary. You got 6 mulch armies built in the main deck. I see we're also playing Azarun in here, and of course we're going even further beyond out here in terms of the unfun stuff. The fact that you've got deceptions in here with the Wanted to be able to set up the Silvera and the Risal. I understand why people are going to look at this and they're going to go, oh, yeah, that's a little bit broken. Yeah, honestly, it is a little bit broken. But also, Lacrima into Rex Tremende out here, you can definitely tell that, having the two formats splitting their opinions on the boss monsters is not exactly the worst thing. Both of the Lacrima and the Rex Tremende versus our side out here, you will see those key differences. Also, see that the OCG is also on some Metaltronius right now. Okay, that's kind of cool. Next up here, we have Evil Twin, and of course, you're going to be having a Fiendsmith package in here. Well, I mean, this is what happens when you make a Link 1 whose entire purpose is to, make sure that your Evil Twin cards not only are going to resolve, but Konami wanted to give this deck an extra little chance out here to be able to play the game. And I think that was a great addition to the strategy. Konami, I think, they did a pretty good job with this. Also, we're main decking the Scythe. We have the Chaos Hunter in the main deck as well. That's a little bit extra, but, depending on your environment, obviously, the Mannequin Cat in here means that we're going to get to, poop out some interesting little interactions depending on the matchup. And I almost feel like your opponent's never really going to see, the crazy level of shenanigans coming from a Mannequin Cat. They're just going to look at that and they're going to go, what's that doing there? And you're just going to blow them out of the water. Like that's the kind of stuff that I live for in environments like this. Next up here, Vice's Starfrost in Friends. Holy, it has been a little while out here since we have actually seen a nice little challenge to the meta from this deck. Now, obviously, feels like this deck has changed a lot, man. Your synchro options, you're no longer doing the Crimson Dragon, the stupid stuff that you were getting with that originally. But now what you're seeing in here is, holy moly, I see good old Appaloosa, Abao Q now. We really have ramped up the production of these incredibly strong monsters just to turn into more of like a Fiendsmith kind of build a board scenario, which looks kind of like what you'd be expecting out here. Also, side decking the Meals. I don't think that this deck is incredibly broken. It's definitely on the rogue side of things, but it is kind of cool to still see that the Vices lore actually has a place out here in the meta. Okay, next up here. Oh, hi, Mermail. How are you? Just kind of coming off of the most recent success of this out of the OCG, I think that this is kind of refreshing to actually see. You know what I mean? Also, one minstrel in here. I also see that we are playing Iria in here is also very, very different than a lot of these. But a lot of people have, cut this side out. A lot of people are just choosing not to deal with this. You also do see Small World in here as well. The ability to kind of bridge the gap and be able to, set up is actually really, really good. Also, Singular Crossout, Double Call by the Grave. In terms of extra deck stuff, I see we're not doing the water barrier statue stuff. I do see that we do have the Prima Donna in here as well, but, you know, leave it to the TCG side of things to be, you know, the one kind of looking at wanting to look at the craziness that the barrier statue brings. But, you know what? It is kind of cool to see a different take on Mermail with Iria. Next up here, 60 card Jaugen pile. So you guys were wondering why in the world, you know, Jaugen got blown up on our side of the game. Well, this is the reason. All right, imagine out here you're playing a casual 60 card White Forest pile, and your opponent's just laughing at you as they mill and then set up like this infinite recurring Jaugen wall through a Baoq. It's not a very fun interaction. I most undoubtedly assure you of that. But you still get the chance to see, you know, all these moving pieces within White Forest actually having a place in the meta is really, really cool. Now, this is a little bit different than the next list that you're about to see, because we have double White Forest. I've been trying to track as much White Forest interactions as I can, just to kind of see all the ideas that people are, you know, meant to be coming up with. And this next one is going to be from a tournament. So this actually won this event. This is going to be a much more refined version of the last list that you just saw. Now, obviously not going with 60 cards, you know, we're going with a little bit more of a safe approach to this, which is actually pretty good. 41, you know, you have the Gamma and the Driver in here. I know there's mixed opinions about playing Gamma and Driver and all that fun stuff, but that's not an issue, honestly. You just need to make sure that, you know, your stuff is resolving. That's why you're choosing to play those levels of interaction. Also, you know, we're playing the big Flamberge Dragon in here. I've definitely come to realize how good that card is. And of course, you know, the OCG still holding on to Apollosa. It's actually kind of stupid just to see how good Apollosa is. Hey, OCG, can you guys do me a favor? Can we take care of that? But the new iteration of White Forest out here definitely has some of the coolest deck building options I think I've seen in modern era times. Now, out of this tournament, moving on down here to second place, we had a chance to see some more modern era Malice action for you. Now, we are playing, yeah, that's right, that's triple backup ad Ignister in here. Basically, the backup ad Ignisters being able to be, you know, they see the link summon, you know, they're able to extend on down, you know, then you can go ahead and sculpt into whichever Malice piece that you're going to need, depending on how the hand is looking. In terms of this, you also do notice, you know, there is no shifter in the main deck. A lot of these builds have kind of foregone actually including that stuff, which I think is fine. You don't really want to worry about that too much. One gold Sark, all the current limitations and things like that actually looking pretty good. One of the Malice Trap, and of course, you know, remember this whole deck's gimmick is to set up the Code Talker and then just do exactly as you need to be doing. Truthfully, outside of that, this is a pretty solid list. And also out of this tournament was our Buster Blader Fallen of Albaz strategy. Now this is kind of the level of, yeah, okay, I'm seeing some innovation out here. You know, this is the kind of stuff that gets people excited. You know, running one Buster Blader in here, you know, obviously the Fallen of Albaz line is going to be kind of your go-to in here. You know, you want to be able to set up and do that, but also, you know, kind of relying on the Super Poly stuff to do your thing. As long as you can set up a Buster Blader in here and be able to punish your opponent, you're going to be doing some incredibly stupid stuff, man. Also, 3 Fool Wasp, the double Perulia. You've kind of just got all of the pieces that you kind of want to be seeing in a deck like this, which is, you know, pretty solid. But, you know, I also see the Mausoleum of White in here as well. Okay, you know, even with like the Blue Eyes pieces and things like that, you've got a lot to be unpacking with this. So this is freaking awesome. And our last list was, of course, you know, there had to be a Risal out of this tournament, right? And of course, I mean, in terms of innovations with the Risal line, there's not a lot of stupid, really big things to think about here. I mean, sure, like giant hands, kind of cool. Not exactly something I'd be seeing, but we can bridge the gap to toggle on into something if we really need to. It really just depends on, how you are thinking that the deck is gonna, function and so forth. But outside of that, interesting little breakdown of cool things that we're seeing right now. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.